You wake up exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep. By noon, you're running on fumes. The thought of your evening workout feels impossible, and cooking dinner seems like climbing Mount Everest. If you're now over 40, this energy crash isn't just in your head. Here's what nobody tells you about midlife fatigue. It's not one thing stealing your energy. It's a perfect storm of hormonal shifts, chronic stress, hidden sleep disorders, nutritional gaps, and yes, even metabolic changes in your skin that create a cascade of energy drain. Today, we're going to break down the real culprits behind your exhaustion and give you practical solutions that work. No more guessing why you feel drained. Let's identify what's really happening and fix it. Why traditional solutions fail, ruling out sleep and stress. Let's start with the obvious suspects that everyone talks about, but most people handle wrong. Sleep issues become massive energy thieves in midlife, but it's not just about getting 8 hours. Sleep apnea affects up to 20% of people over 40, and most don't even know they have it. You might think you're sleeping through the night, but your oxygen levels are dropping dozens of times, forcing your heart to work overtime and preventing deep restorative sleep. Here's how to tell if sleep apnea is stealing your energy. You wake up with headaches, your partner mentions snoring or gasping sounds, you feel tired despite adequate sleep. If any of this sound familiar, get a sleep study. Treating sleep apnea can literally transform your energy levels within weeks. But even without apnea, your sleep architecture changes with age. You spend less time in deep sleep stages where your body repairs and restores energy. Your circadian rhythm shifts, making you feel tired earlier. Hormonal changes disrupt sleep quality, especially for women going through perimenopause and menopause. The solution isn't just sleeping hygiene basics. You need targeted interventions. Keep your bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask. Consider magnesium glycinate, 300 milligrams an hour before bed, which helps relax your nervous system and improve sleep quality. If you're a woman experiencing hormonal sleep disruption, talk to your doctor about bioidentical hormone therapy. Now let's talk about stress, which becomes more complex in midlife. You're not just dealing with work pressure anymore. You might be caring for aging parents while supporting teenagers or young adults. Your body doesn't recover from stress the way it did in your 20s and 30s. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which initially gives you energy by raising blood sugar, but sustained high cortisol leads to insulin resistance and disrupted sleep. Your body gets stuck in survival mode, constantly preparing for threats that never come. The key is understanding that stress management isn't optional anymore. Your body needs active stress reduction to function properly. This doesn't mean you need hour-long meditation or yoga sessions. Even 10 minutes of deep breathing daily can lower cortisol levels. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Do this 4 times whenever you feel overwhelmed. Regular exercise becomes crucial for stress management. But here's where most people go wrong. They think they need intense workouts when their energy is already depleted. Start with gentle movement. A 20-minute walk after dinner can lower cortisol and improve sleep quality. Yoga or Tai Chi are excellent for combining movement with stress reduction. Hormonal changes create another layer of energy drain that traditional advice ignores. Declining estrogen affects everything from sleep quality to muscle mass to mood regulation. Testosterone drops in both men and women, reducing energy and motivation. Thyroid function often becomes sluggish, slowing your metabolism. These aren't just normal aging changes you have to accept. Get comprehensive hormone testing including free testosterone, estradiol, progesterone, and a full thyroid panel including reverse T3. Many people feel dramatically better when they undergo bioidentical hormone replacement or thyroid optimization. The problem with conventional fatigue advice is it treats these factors as separate issues when they're interconnected. Poor sleep worsens stress response. Chronic stress disrupts hormones. Hormonal imbalances affect sleep quality. You need a comprehensive approach that addresses the whole system, not just individual symptoms. The surprising trigger: chronic low-grade inflammation, which is called inflammaging. Now here's the hidden factor that most people completely miss. While you're focused on sleep and stress, there's a silent energy thief running in the background that compounds everything else we just discussed. Inflammaging, and it's the chronic low-grade inflammation that develops as we age. Inflammaging and its chronic low-grade inflammation that develops as we age. Think of inflammation as your body's fire department. When you have an injury or infection, inflammation rushes in to handle the emergency. But what happens when the fire department never goes home? Your immune system gets stuck in a constant state of alert, creating ongoing inflammation throughout your body. This isn't the obvious inflammation you'd notice, like a swollen joint or infected cut. This is subtle, systemic inflammation that you feel as fatigue, brain fog, muscle aches, and that general sense of not feeling quite right. Your body is constantly diverting energy to manage this inflammatory response instead of using it for daily activities. Here's why this becomes such a problem in midlife. Your cells accumulate damage over time from stress, environmental toxins, poor diet, and normal wear and tear. Damaged cells release inflammatory signals called cytokines. These cytokines tell your immune system there's a problem that needs attention. Your immune system responds by sending more inflammatory compounds to deal with the perceived threat. But since the damage is ongoing rather than acute, the inflammation never resolves. It just keeps cycling, creating what researchers call a chronic inflammatory state. The energy cost is enormous. Producing inflammatory compounds requires significant cellular resources. Your liver works overtime processing inflammatory toxins. Your bone marrow increases white blood cell production. Your brain activates sickness behavior pathways that make you feel tired and unmotivated. Meanwhile, these inflammatory cytokines directly interfere with your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells. They disrupt the process by which your cells produce energy, meaning even healthy tissues can't function efficiently. This is why people with chronic inflammation often feel exhausted even when nothing else seems wrong. The inflammatory cytokines also cross into your brain, where they interfere with neurotransmitter production. This affects your mood, motivation, and cognitive function. You might notice you're more irritable, have trouble concentrating, or feel less interested in activities you used to enjoy. Your gut becomes involved too. Chronic inflammation can damage your intestinal lining, leading to increased intestinal permeability. This allows toxins and partially digested food particles to enter your bloodstream, creating even more inflammatory burden for your immune system to handle. Sleep quality deteriorates because inflammatory cytokines interfere with your natural circadian rhythms. They suppress melatonin production and disrupt the deep sleep stages where your body normally repairs itself. Poor sleep then worsens inflammation, creating a vicious cycle. The insidious part about inflammaging is that it develops gradually over years. You don't wake up one day feeling inflamed. Instead, your energy slowly declines, your recovery takes longer, and you start accepting fatigue as normal aging when it's a treatable condition. Everything we discussed earlier becomes harder to manage when you're dealing with underlying inflammation. Mechanism 1. How inflammation hijacks your mitochondria and energy production. Let's get specific about how this chronic inflammation steals your energy at the cellular level. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it explains why you can feel exhausted even when your blood work looks normal and you're doing everything right with sleep and nutrition. Your mitochondria are like tiny power plants inside every cell. They take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe and convert them into adenosine triphosphate, which is your body's energy currency. In a healthy cell, this process is incredibly efficient. But when chronic inflammation enters the picture, everything changes. Inflammatory cytokines, particularly ones called tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin-1 beta, directly attack your mitochondria. They interfere with something called the electron transport chain, which is the final step in energy production. Think of it like throwing sand into the gears of a finely turned machine. The machine can still run, but it's working much harder to produce much less energy. Here's what makes this particularly devastating. Your brain uses about 20% of your total energy production, and brain cells are packed with mitochondria. When inflammation disrupts mitochondrial function, your brain doesn't get the energy it needs for optimal function. This is why brain fog and difficulty concentrating are often the first signs of chronic inflammation. Your muscles also suffer tremendously. Muscle cells contain more mitochondria than almost any other tissue, because movement requires enormous amounts of energy. When inflammation compromises mitochondrial function, you lose both strength and endurance. Simple activities that used to be effortless suddenly feel exhausting. The inflammatory process also depletes key nutrients that your mitochondria need to function. Magnesium, coenzyme Q10, and B vitamins all get consumed rapidly during inflammatory responses. Without adequate levels of these nutrients, even healthy mitochondria can't produce energy efficiently. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle where inflammation damages mitochondria. Damaged mitochondria create more inflammation, and the whole system spirals downward. Your liver becomes overwhelmed trying to process all the inflammatory compounds and cellular debris. This diverts energy away from other essential functions like hormone production, detoxification, and nutrient processing. Your liver is already working harder in midlife due to accumulated toxin exposure, and chronic inflammation pushes it past its capacity. The energy drain extends to your immune system itself. Producing inflammatory compounds and maintaining chronic immune activation requires enormous amounts of cellular energy. What's particularly insidious is that this mitochondrial dysfunction can persist even after the initial inflammatory trigger is removed. The good news is that mitochondria are remarkably resilient when given the right support. They can regenerate and repair themselves, but only when the inflammatory burden is reduced and they receive the nutrients they need for optimal function. Mechanism 2. The gut-brain axis and the signaling of sickness behavior. Now let's explore another critical pathway through which chronic inflammation steals your energy, and this one might surprise you. Your gut and brain are in constant communication through what scientists call the gut-brain axis, and when inflammation disrupts this communication, it triggers something called sickness behavior that makes you feel exhausted and unmotivated. Here is how this works. Your gut contains more immune cells than any other organ in your body. It's essentially your body's first line of defense against toxins, pathogens, and inflammatory compounds from food. When you have chronic low-grade inflammation, your gut's immune system becomes hypervigilant, constantly scanning for threats and sending inflammatory signals throughout your body. These inflammatory signals travel through multiple pathways to reach your brain. Some travel through your bloodstream as cytokines. Others travel directly through the vagus nerve, which is like a superhighway connecting your gut to your brain. Still others are produced by inflammatory changes in your gut bacteria, which create compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier. The problem is that with chronic inflammation, this sickness behavior response gets stuck in the on position. Your brain keeps getting signals that there's a threat to deal with, so it maintains the energy-conserving behaviors, even when there's no acute illness to fight. Do you feel tired and want to rest more? You lose interest in social activities and prefer to be alone. Your appetite changes, often decreasing for protein-rich foods. You become less motivated to engage in physical activity. You might feel slightly depressed or anxious without any obvious reason. Sound familiar? These are exactly the symptoms that people with midlife fatigue describe. They're not character flaws or signs of laziness. They're your brain's programmed response to chronic inflammatory signals coming from your gut. Chronic inflammation can damage the tight junctions between intestinal cells, leading to increased intestinal permeability, or what's commonly called leaky gut. This allows toxins, undigested food particles, and bacterial fragments to enter your bloodstream. This creates even more inflammatory cytokines circulating in your bloodstream, which travel to your brain and intensify the sickness behavior response. Your gut bacteria also play a crucial role in this process. But chronic inflammation can disrupt your gut microbiome, reducing beneficial bacteria and allowing harmful bacteria to overgrow. About 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut, not your brain. When gut inflammation disrupts serotonin production, you feel depressed, anxious, and unmotivated. The action plan: 3 pillars to extinguish inflammaging and restore energy. Now that you understand how chronic inflammation is stealing your energy through multiple pathways, let's get into the practical solution. I'm going to give you 3 pillars that address inflammaging at its root while rebuilding your energy reserves. These aren't quick fixes. They're strategic interventions that create lasting change. Pillar 1 is targeted anti-inflammatory nutrition. Your diet either feeds inflammation or fights it. There's no neutral ground here. The standard American diet is essentially an inflammation-promoting protocol, loaded with processed foods, refined sugars, and inflammatory oils that keep your immune system in constant activation mode. Here's your anti-inflammatory foundation. Eliminate processed foods for 30 days. This means anything that comes in a package with more than 5 ingredients. Focus on whole foods that your great-grandmother would recognize. This single change can reduce inflammatory markers by up to 40% within a month. Add powerful anti-inflammatory foods daily. Fatty fish including salmon, sardines, and mackerel provide omega-3 fatty acids that directly counter inflammatory pathways. Aim for 3 servings per week. Leafy greens like spinach and kale contain compounds that neutralize inflammatory cytokines. Berries are packed with antioxidants that protect your mitochondria from inflammatory damage. Turmeric with black pepper becomes your daily anti-inflammatory medicine. The curcumin in turmeric inhibits the same inflammatory pathways as prescription anti-inflammatory drugs, but without the side effects. Take 500 milligrams twice daily with meals. The black pepper increases absorption by up to 2,000%. Green tea replaces your afternoon coffee. The polyphenols in green tea, particularly EGCG, directly protect your mitochondria from inflammatory damage while providing gentle, sustained energy without the crash. Pillar 2 is a strategic movement for mitochondrial regeneration. Exercise is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory interventions available, but needs to be done right. When you're already energy depleted, high-intensity workouts will worsen inflammation and deplete your already compromised energy reserves. Start with gentle, consistent movement. A 20-minute walk daily reduces inflammatory markers and stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, which is your body's process for creating new, healthy mitochondria. Walking after meals also helps regulate blood sugar, reducing another source of inflammation. Add resistance training twice weekly, but keep it moderate. Bodyweight exercises or light weights are perfect. Resistance training stimulates muscle mitochondria to multiply and become more efficient. But avoid training to failure or excessive muscle soreness, which creates more inflammatory burden. Include flexibility and stress reduction movement. Yoga, Tai Chi, or even gentle stretching activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which directly counters the inflammatory stress response. These practices measurably reduce inflammatory cytokines and cortisol levels. The key is consistency over intensity. Your inflamed, energy-depleted body needs gentle, regular stimulus to start the healing process. Once your energy begins returning, you can gradually increase intensity. Pillar 3 is targeted supplementation for mitochondrial repair and inflammation control. While nutrition and movement form the foundation, specific supplements can accelerate your recovery by providing concentrated doses of compounds your inflamed body desperately needs. Omega-3 fatty acids are non-negotiable. Take a high-quality fish oil providing at least 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily. These directly reduce inflammatory cytokine production and support mitochondrial membrane health. Choose a brand that's third-party tested for purity and potency. Magnesium glycinate, 400 milligrams before bed, supports over 300 enzymatic reactions involved in energy production while calming your nervous system for better sleep. Most people with chronic inflammation are deficient in magnesium. Coenzyme Q10, 100 milligrams daily with a fat-containing meal, directly supports mitochondrial energy production and has powerful anti-inflammatory effects. Vitamin D3 with K2 optimizes immune function and reduces inflammatory cytokine production. Probiotics restore gut health and reduce the inflammatory signals traveling from your gut to your brain. These 3 pillars work synergistically. The anti-inflammatory nutrition reduces the inflammatory burden on your system. The strategic movement stimulates mitochondrial regeneration and activates anti-inflammatory pathways. The targeted supplementation provides concentrated support for cellular repair and inflammation resolution. Most people notice improvements within 2 to 3 weeks of implementing all 3 pillars consistently. Your energy becomes more stable throughout the day. Brain fog starts lifting. Sleep quality improves. That sense of vitality you remember from your younger years begins returning. Reclaiming your energy and vitality, your midlife fatigue isn't inevitable, and it's not something you just have to accept. Address the sleep issues, manage the stress, optimize your hormones, and most importantly, extinguish the chronic inflammation that's hijacking your cellular energy production. Start with Pillar 1 this week. Clean up your nutrition and add those powerful anti-inflammatory foods. Your body will begin responding within days. Then layer in the strategic movement and targeted supplementation for lasting transformation. If this resonates with your experience, share your journey in the comments below. I'd love to hear how these strategies work for you. For more evidence-based health content that addresses root causes rather than just symptoms, subscribe to Health Equals Wellness and hit that notification bell. Let's make this week one step smarter toward reclaiming the energy and vitality you deserve.